Communities further north are still in the firing line. 74 evacuation orders remain in place, along with 36 warnings across the state, affecting nearly 60,000 people. Rescue crews and volunteers have worked around the clock as the wild weather pummeled the mid-north coast overnight.
We've seen widespread 100 to 300 millimetres over the past 24 hours, particularly around the mid-north coast. And some of the highlight figures, they're 305 millimetres at Taree and 213 at Foster.
Meantime, in the Hunter region, Singleton has weathered the worst of the flood situation. Hayley Francis is there.
Well, it was an anxious night for locals, fearing the Hunter River here could rise above its flood levy. Fortunately, it didn't. Instead, it peaked around 13.7 metres early this morning. Had it been 30 centimetres higher, that would have sparked an evacuation order for the town centre. Now, while it has been spared, there are many communities nearby that have not. A lot of farmland is underwater, roads in and out of Singleton are closed, rural suburbs like Bulga and Broke remaining cut off. Now, our emergency services are really playing a critical role on the ground in these communities. There was a rescue at Bulga late yesterday. A 10-month-old baby boy who was not breathing was pulled from freezing cold waters with his mum. Surf Lifesavers bringing the pair to safety. Both were then treated by paramedics and are now recovering in hospital.
When we opened the car door and Bub was crying, I said the first responder did his job fantastic, and we just had to get him to safety. And yeah, she was fantastic. She was unreal. She was so calm and did exactly what we asked her to do.
Now, while we've seen what appears to be the worst of it for the Hunter, places like Maitland are still at risk of major flooding. The floodgates there are closed as thousands prepare for what could come.
Even though the weather is easing, there are still concerns, particularly up north, around Singleton, Hunter Valley and Maitland in those areas. So please continue to follow those orders.
Now, there are still many roads cut off from these flood waters. Council workers are actively assessing these roads, but in the meantime, authorities are pleading with people, do not attempt to drive through flood waters. It really isn't worth the risk.
Homicide Squad detectives are investigating after a man died outside a home in Melbourne overnight. Mimi Becker joins me live this morning. Mimi, a group was seen running from the area.
Lizzie, it's believed 3 or 4 men were seen running from this street in St Albans in Melbourne's northwest last night. And today, homicide detectives are now going door to door trying to find out any information after a man in his 20s was found injured on the Nature Strip. That was around 11:45 last night. Police and paramedics tried to save him, but sadly he died here at the scene. Today, there are also investigating reports that there was an argument around that same time. But speaking to neighbours here this morning, they say they didn't hear a thing. Instead, waking up to discover this crime scene that is now blocking a number of streets in St Albans. Police are asking anyone with information around this incident to please come forward. Lizzie.
Mimi Becker there for us in Melbourne. Australia's Foreign Minister has ramped up the pressure on China over its links to Russia ahead of a summit in Bali with her G20 counterparts. Straight to politics reporter Eliza Edwards in Canberra. Eliza, so who will Penny Wong be meeting with?
Well, Lizzie, foreign ministers from the top 20 economies are meeting in Bali over the next 2 days. Penny Wong is on her way to the Indonesian island this morning after a busy 24 hours in Singapore. During that visit, she gave a speech laying out the new Labor government's vision for Southeast Asia, saying she wants countries to be able to make their own sovereign decisions. And the minister had a message specifically for China, urging the country to show restraint in its dealings with smaller nations as Beijing increasingly flexes its muscle in the region. Penny Wong also made the point that Beijing should use its influence over Russia to bring an end to the war on Ukraine.
And this includes China as a great power, a permanent member of the Security Council with its No Limits partnership with Russia. Exerting such influence would do a great deal to build confidence in our own region.
Lizzie, the attendance of Russia's foreign minister at the event in Bali is sure to make things pretty tense. It'll be the first time that he's been in a forum like this since Russia invaded Ukraine in February. So there's a sense it won't be business as usual. And there's also speculation that Penny Wong will meet one-on-one with her Chinese counterpart Wang Yi. That would be a significant development, but the minister warns that a further diplomatic thaw is conditional on Beijing removing what she calls coercive trade sanctions on Australian exports.
Thanks, Eliza. Nick Kyrgios has put aside his off-court issues to advance to the semi-finals at Wimbledon, the first Grand Slam semi of the Aussie's career. Tony Jones is at the All England club.
Given the legal battle that looms for Nick Kyrgios, one of the great unknowns was just what his mindset would be like as he entered Court 1 for his quarter-final showdown against Christian Garin. Well, from the outset, it didn't look good as Garin raced away to a 2-games-to-love lead. But then, slowly but surely, Nick Kyrgios started to hit his straps and really started to dominate the game. There was a momentary lapse in the third set, but for the most part, this was a sheer display of domination from Nick Kyrgios, who had one intent and one intent only, and that was to get through to his first semi-final of a Grand Slam. And he did so, and there was no one more thrilled than Nick Kyrgios himself.
Set match, Kyrgios.
So once the match was sealed, Nick Kyrgios, you can see there, just sitting in the chair, head in the hands, just trying to fight back the emotion and just try to come to grips in his own mind at what has just transpired and trying to let it sink in that he's finally through to a semi-final.
Honestly, I thought my ship had sailed. Obviously, I didn't go about things great earlier in my career and may have wasted that little window, but, I'm really proud of the way that I've just come back out here.
So in the semi-final, Nick Kyrgios will meet Rafael Nadal, who survived an epic 5-setter against Taylor Fritz. But of course, at the media conference, there was no escaping that other battle for Nick Kyrgios, and that of course is the one that will play out in the ACT Magistrates Court on August 2, pertaining to the domestic violence situation. Now, Nick Kyrgios himself addressed that looming court battle at his media conference.
Yeah, obviously I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of things I want to say, kind of my side about it, but obviously I've been advised by my lawyers that I'm unable to, to say anything at this time. So, I understand that everyone wants to kind of, ask about it and all that, but I can't give you too much on that right now.
The immediate task for Nick Kyrgios is a semi-final on centre court against Rafael Nadal. Get past him, as he has done in the past, and then presumably it's a certain Novak Djokovic waiting for him on that last Sunday of this tournament.
A Melbourne pizza delivery driver is recovering in hospital after being slashed across the face while being mugged on the job. Lana Murphy has the details.
This delivery driver was just doing his job, but now he's in hospital with life-changing injuries, his face slashed by a stranger in this Glenroy street.
I haven't spoken to him. He would be visibly upset, extremely shaken. This would be a life-changing injury to him, to his face. Significant damage.
The 22-year-old worker pulled into Apsley Street with a pizza in hand around midnight, but before he could make it to the customer's door, he was ambushed. A random man attacked him from behind and demanded his phone and wallet before slicing his face between his ear and mouth.
Given the depth of the damage to his cheek, if the injury was a bit lower on his neck, it could have been extremely serious and life-threatening.
With the victim screaming and bleeding, the attacker ran off with the man's wallet.
The best description we have is it was a male, about 6 foot tall, dark-skinned, and wearing a black puffer jacket.
The driver then sped back to the pizza shop where staff called police and rendered first aid before an ambulance arrived. Detectives have spent the morning combing nearby streets for CCTV and evidence, but want the public's help too.
We're putting a lot of resources into catching this offender and trying to identify them.
The 22-year-old is now serious at the Royal Melbourne Hospital. He's undergoing surgery for his deep laceration.